And welcome to another Cardinals Nest here on HBC TV 25. I'm Dean Beckman along with my co-host, Sports Information Director Donnie Netto. And usually here on the Cardinals Nest, we have on a head coach and a student athlete. This week, Donnie, we're going to mix it up a little bit. We have a new guest, a new member of the St. Mary's University community to introduce.
Yeah, we have Brian Sisson, our athletic director, and I have to be on my best behavior because this is my boss, so I have to do a good job here or I may be in trouble.
Brian, I want you to know, Donnie is never on his best behavior, and you know what?
We
don't want him to be. We do not want him to be. He's more of himself when he's not. So.
Best in his element, best in his element. But no, I just want to, again, thank you guys for having me. Dean, Donnie, HBC staff. It's been great. Yeah, I look forward to again, obviously getting to know everybody on my staff and in the community, but yeah, it's great to be here finally. So.
Eight days on the job.
8-day countdown, yeah.
Brian, can you talk a little bit about your background, where you came from, how you got into this business?
Sure.
And you can start back. I know you were an athlete when you went to college. If you want to start there.
Yeah. No, growing up, always knew something sport related, right? Was just like most people, working in this industry, kind of a sports junkie. For me, had a fortunate opportunity. I played a high level. I was a student athlete at Loyola University of Chicago. Played soccer for 4 years there, and really, I think that shaped me to, again, kind of do what I do today. And I saw everything, from my freshman year, we won 3 games and went on a losing streak the rest of the season. I was also on teams that slowly got us to where the year after I left, our team made the NCAA tournament. I was hurt my junior year, didn't play. So I think all those experiences kind of helped me understand kind of everything that goes into, right, that kind of student athlete experience. So then just kind of going into my undergrad, was really fortunate, and I tell everybody that I meet, people who want to work in sports, students, interns, things like that. I worked for 4 fantastic organizations. I had, again, growing up in Chicagoland, played at Loyola University of Chicago. I had an internship with ESPN Radio, so kind of got that experience. Worked for like a local morning show in Chicago. I interned for the Chicago Cubs, Chicago Bulls. The Cubs was a sponsorship sales internship, and actually had the fortunate opportunity to work with John McDonough, who's a St. Mary's alum and now at the Blackhawks. So that's been kind of a great obviously, relationship, but obviously getting to know him a little bit. With the Bulls, it was more kind of ticket sales focused. And then after school, in school as well, I worked for the King County Cougars, minor league baseball. So all those different experiences kind of, helped shape me kind of more from the external background side of things. And really, I think just kind of goes to show, hey, you can't be a senior coming out of school working in sports and just say, hey, I want to work, Right. So, I could show, hey, I had 2 great experiences in college, and even that, wasn't enough. So I was fortunate enough to do the Bulls and then the Cubs, and then from there, had a great opportunity to come back and get into college athletics. So I worked for Loyola University of Chicago, my alma mater, which not a lot of people get to do. Donnie, I know you're fortunate, so I just think that's a great experience. And for me, I spent 5 great years there, handling again kind of more from the ticket in external background, ticket sales, fundraising, marketing, things like that. And then from there, again, kind of got that bug and knew I wanted to work in college athletics. Really enjoyed, interacting with the student athletes, kind of that servant leadership, and I think just kind of my background. But from there, went to Benedictine, a school right outside, Chicago, about half hour west of Chicago, Lisle, close to like Naperville area. So Division III, I know, St. Mary's from time to time would compete against them, but was there for about 2 years. More, getting a little bit more administrative, handled all of our kind of fundraising, external stuff, more alumni, events, things like that. And then actually, 2 years in, wasn't really, looking to be honest. That's a lot of times how things kind of happen. It just, happens. It's meant to be sort of thing. But had the opportunity to then move to Lewis, 20 minutes down the street. Chicagoland again, good for family and stuff at the time, and worked at Lewis as the associate AD there for just over 4.5 years. From that was more, again, kind of that next level, right? I kind of put it up as kind of maybe that, number 2. There was myself and another associate AD, but I handled everything external. So fundraising, marketing, promotions, all of our student staff, oversaw kind of half of our sports with sport oversight, handled all the kind of internal as far as ticket sales and fundraising, and kind of handled all the all the revenue kind of coming in, coming out. So fantastic experience. Great program. We finished in the top 10 of the Learfield Cup. 2 out of the 4 years I was there. Academic, athletic success. I mean, Learfield was more athletic, but just across the board, for me, was the best department I've worked at as far as just from a all-around kind of success. So
what is there about you're a Chicago guy, St. Mary's, little Winona, Minnesota. What was it that intrigued you about St. Mary's and wanted you to come here?
Yeah, I think for me, I had the fortunate opportunity. One of my mentors, Dr. John Planick, I worked for twice. So he was the AD when I was an undergrad at Loyola, and then also when I was working there. He is now the AD at Lewis. So was able to work for him twice. And again, a lot of this industry, obviously, kind of who you know and things like that, and was a great mentor. But I think just for me, just my background, like I kind of said in my release and kind of interviews coming here and stuff, it was just a natural fit. Private, kind of educated. I joke, this is the second institution. Christian Brothers, and there were great Christian Brothers at Lewis. Now great Christian Brothers I've gotten to know here at St. Mary's. But I've worked Jesuit, Catholic, at Loyola. Benedictine, monks, more Benedictine, now the Christian Brothers. So I think that private higher education, the small class setting, you really get to know, right, your professors, your student athletes. I just think that was a natural fit for me. And really, I just think someplace where, I think coming in, there's been some transition and stuff, but I think, from a president who I've gotten to know, Father Burns, just early on, I think there's just a lot of momentum. I think forward-thinking, individuals and want to get out there and meet with our supporters and really, a time of growth, I think. So, growth is a common theme in all of, higher ed. I use that term, I guess loosely, but just the idea that, hey, it's important everywhere and now more than anything. So what can we do to kind of enhance and continue, that trajectory of all the great things that St. Mary's done, but then move them forward for the next 5, 10, 15 years.
So Brian, we've heard a little bit about your college playing days and some of your internships and then the previous jobs that you've held, and I do have a question related to all of that. But before we get to that, you grew up in Wheaton, Illinois, right? So maybe
Correct.
Tell us about
Sure.
your involvement in youth sports and kind of take us back even a little further.
Yeah. So again, kind of sports, junkie. I grew up kind of doing everything, right? So, grew up in Wheaton, Illinois, played club soccer from about second grade on, through high school, and then obviously, into college, and played club even kind of out of season in college. But my parents, were fantastic. Again, great family support network, both family, in-laws, everything. Wouldn't be here, without them. But really just kind of got involved with everything. I did in high school, I did your basketball, track and field, kind of staying in shape more for soccer. And a lot of times I think, more so now even too, is I think, there's such a, hey, focus on, hey, one sport and early and things like that. I think your best athletes are people who have all that, broad-based experience and can play in 3 or 4 different sports and helps develop them in so many different ways. So, for me, I just try to be involved with so many things. So, my parents can attest, were flying me around and driving me around all the time, like a lot of parents do. But had some great experiences doing that, and it's been good.
At what point did you sort of realize, or did someone tell you that you had kind of a high-level college soccer career ahead of you?
Yeah, to be honest, once kind of early high school, playing on a club team where was just, a lot of things have changed kind of on the club scene, I'd say, from when I played, but just, who I was competing against and who we were playing against and having success kind of opened up my eyes like, hey, everyone on my team is, looking to kind of play that next step, maybe I can do that too, sort of thing. So really not till junior, even early senior year, just kind of getting looks and starting to get letters, in the mail, things like that. To be honest, I was not one who, went to go see 100 different schools. I think I maybe looked at like 3 or 4 schools, and to me, like Loyola, hey, they wanted me. It was a good fit. I was close enough to, be farther away from school so I could be on my own, but at the same time, hey, if I need laundry done at my parents' house, I could drive an hour and a half and be
There's
home.
always that.
Yeah. So again, I just think, again, and I'm glad, for me, You know, I think a lot of, you know, student athletes that want to kind of play at that highest level. And, you know, for me to be able to do that, fantastic experience. I traveled all over the country, you know, I got to play at Notre Dame. I got to play at like SMU. I mean, just some of these larger programs, institutions. So I you know, saw everything, and was just a really good experience.
As a former athlete, what do you see as the biggest difference between when you were coming out of high school as a senior to play collegiate soccer and people that are doing it today? What do you see as the biggest difference in how it's changed?
For college soccer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, obviously, first thing is just the growth, right? I mean, you know, what I'll say, like professional leagues, you know, what MLS was when I was growing up to now is night and day. So, you know, they still say, hey, you know, the European leagues and everything else is better, you know, whatever. But I just think the growth has been phenomenal. And I just think in all sports, you know, from St. Mary's, you know, Division III, Division II, Division I, just the caliber of student athlete today is just night and day. You know, I mean, I've had the fortunate opportunity to watch a couple of our soccer games, and, you know, all my coaches tell me, and I'm getting to know, you know, obviously, you know, now is just the MIAC is, you know, one of the best leagues, if not, you know, Midwest, you know, in the country for a lot of sports. So I just think, you know, and really it's you know, the student athlete, you know, what do they want out of the experience, right? So I know we've had some student athletes here, you know, multiple-time All-Americans, playing multiple sports, things like that. It's just really that fit what you want. I just think, you know, people don't realize the caliber and fantastic, you know, student athletes we have at Division III and all these levels, where it's really just more about that fit. And I just think, you know, there's Division III student athletes who could surely compete at the next level and then some. So, you know, again, I think just that the growth and just, you know, what the student athlete makeup is today.
Brian, just a minute left here in this segment. I want to ask you, though, that based off of your experiences playing soccer and then all of the internships that you did with professional sports teams in many different sports while in college, how has that helped you become an athletic director, do you think? Obviously, you have to oversee multiple sports, so I would imagine just the knowledge of those sports helps, right? Yeah,
you know, no, for sure. And I think I was a communications major in college, a minor in marketing. I know we're fortunate enough here at St. Mary's, we have a sport management department. That just started like when I was graduating Loyola. So I think with anything, right, you need to communicate to people. That's, you know, first and foremost, and especially in this role, you know, you're talking with a lot of different constituents on campus, off campus. But I think for me, yeah, all the different experiences, hey, maybe you get to know the pro side of things, the minor league side of things, you know, college side of things, all those experiences together, you know, help me just to kind of see things, you know, in a different light. So I've had some mentors who tell me all the time, hey, the best thing you can do if you want to get into athletics is work in minor league baseball, because you just do everything and you're, you know, just, I think it just opens you up to so many things. So I kind of appreciate that in a sense. And the guy had a fortunate opportunity to work for a great minor league ball club, but just, you know, little things like that, everything you gather, you know, helps you. And again, from all the external side of things too, you know, obviously more so than ever, you know, that's important now, you know, to raising funds and resources that we need to stay competitive.
All right, once again, we're talking with Brian Sisson. Brian is the new athletic director at St. Mary's University. As we tape this, just 8 days on the job, but we'll keep him on the hot seat here, and we have more questions for Brian when we return on HBC's Cardinals Nest.
Elevate your HBC TV experience with the latest technology to hit your whole home entertainment system. Record up to 6 programs simultaneously and save up to 350 hours of your favorite shows. Pause a program you're watching in one room and pick right up where you left off in another. Video on demand, wireless set-top boxes and mobile device streaming, apps including Alexa, Netflix, YouTube, and more. Call 888-474.
Be sure to check out US Golf TV, where you are going to see golf products that you have never seen before. You're also going to see golf tips from some of the leading instructors around the country that are truly changing the way people are teaching the game and challenging the status quo. Also, you're going to see fitness tips that are revolutionizing the way PGA Tour pros are training their body and swinging the golf club. If you want something different, if you're looking for some new information, US Golf TV has it. Be sure to check your local listings. US Golf TV, we've got you covered.
Describe the best thing you ever ate.
It's good.
Woo! Dynamite.
Yes.
Hashtag worth it.
Ridiculous. OMG, OMG.
Whoa. Wham.
What? That's what I'm talking about.
Wait. Boom.
All new, the best thing I ever ate. Thursday at 9.
You're gonna need sweatpants.
Cooking Channel. Stay hungry.
In the beginning, there was dial-up. Slow as syrup dial-up. When 3 megabits arrived, it felt like riding a cyclone with your hands in the air. Until 100 megabits sent you surfing with glee on a cavernous pipeline of bits and bytes. Which brings us to 1 gig. That's 1,000 megabits per second from HBC. We're about to break the internet speed barrier. Your home deserves the fastest internet. Get gigabit internet today from HBC. Internet redefined.
Schultz Strategic Gunworks, Sugarloaf Ford, and Brewski's Bar and Grill in Utica would like to remind you to make safe choices when getting behind the wheel of a vehicle.
Driving while under the influence of alcohol or drugs is the #1 cause of teen deaths. Distracted driving increases your chances to have a traffic accident. Cell phones and passengers are both distractions to a teen driver. Drowsiness impairs driving performance and reaction time, thereby increasing the likelihood of having a car accident.
And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest. Dean Beckman, Donnie Netto, our sports information director, and Brian Sisson, our new athletic director at St. Mary's. And you also now hold the title, Brian, of resident tug-of-war champion. I saw some photos from this past weekend where we had various activities to celebrate the inauguration of our new president, Father Burns, and you got yourself involved in a little tug-of-war. Tell us about that. You were the anchor, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, just, again, a fantastic first week. Obviously, a lot of things going on, you know, with the inauguration. But yeah, Saturday, we had a double-header soccer game. Student activities was out. There's a tailgate before the game. Just a lot of, you know, a lot of things going on. Great, you know, atmosphere. You know, pretty well attended. You know, both games, and a lot of different things going on. And hey, for me, I want to get involved as much as possible, not only on campus, you know, in the community. So hey, we need some staff, tug-of-war. I was like, hey, fantastic. And I mean, you know, me going in there again, I like to try to stay fit as much as I can, but you know, going against some of these students, I was like, I didn't know what to expect, but hey, you know, I guess I just had the right people on my team, so I got to give it up to them. But yeah, it was a great experience. You know, again, I think the day worked really well, and I think there's just a lot of, you know, positive momentum and vibes, you know, from the week, and it was great. I mean, you know, what I like to do and what I want to do, obviously, is work with student activities, all these other groups on campus, as much as we can. You know, to enhance, you know, that atmosphere athletic contest. So it was a lot of fun.
I know it's only been 8 days, but coming from Lewis Division II school to St. Mary's, a Division III school, what do you see some of the hurdles that you have, the adjustments that you are going to have to make coming from a school like Lewis to a school like St. Mary's? Yeah, you know, I think, you know, obviously with any job, right, you know, the first, you know, 60, 90 days, first year, people say, you know, what you're doing, things like that. I mean, you know, for me, you know, adjustment obviously is obviously, you know, now sitting in the chair, right? You know, getting to know my staff, getting to know our student athletes, getting to know just the dynamics of campus and things like that. But I think from like an athletic side of thing and things like that is just, you know, it's just usually, you know, for the most part, just, you know, staffing, you know, a little different. I'm used to wearing a lot of different hats. That's all I've done. And even, you know, I've worked at Division I, II, and III, even when I was at Division I, you know, an institution where you still wore a lot of different hats and stuff, right? So I think for me is just, you know, understanding, you know, that, you know, coaches who maybe aren't here, you know, the entire year and who are doing something on the side, you know, in their off season, things like that. So, you know, for me, you know, I think it's worked, you know, well, obviously here. And for me, it's just more about understanding and, you know, what I can do to help those areas. But then also maybe take an idea, you know, take a look back and say, hey, you know, maybe these certain you know, areas, hey, we can staff differently or new staff or move people around, things like that. So again, a lot of learning every day. I'm just kind of, you know, taking it in, and again, staff has been fantastic, who I've had the, you know, fortunate opportunity to meet with so far. And you know, goals for me really, you know, this first month, I just want to meet everyone, you know, on our staff. So I've started a lot of one-on-one meetings. And you know, kind of going through, you know, talk with Donnie, and he's given me some great insight. and Dean, you know, yourself on my list, and other people and things like that. So, but yeah, you know, I think just, you know, again, a lot of different things from, you know, now being, you know, the one overseeing it all. So, we had kind of talked about this, and I am curious. I've been here, this is my 24th year, and you are the first external athletic director we've had. I gotta imagine it's gotta be difficult coming to a place where we all know each other, and you come in as the stranger, and you're the one leading the charge. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, definitely, different. And again, I think with any university, right, you're going to have people who, more connected to campus, former alums, things like that. I mean, I'm always in favor, hey, those people give you great knowledge, right? All the history, coaches, I think a lot of times that usually bodes well, right? Like, you know how things operate, right? So, I mean, I think that learning curve has been great to have people who've been here for a while. At the same time, I think the best departments work where there's a balance, right? So, it can't just always be internal perspective and people who've been here and things like that. I think, what I bring, hopefully, with my experience, combined with, what people know about St. Mary's already, I think, that is hopefully what makes for that best fit. So.
And as you pointed out, you're still learning St. Mary's, still learning the position and how
Sure.
you might like to develop that position.
Mm-hmm.
How would you describe your management style to the people now who are
Sure.
getting to know you that
Sure,
work
sure,
in
sure.
the athletic department?
Yeah, I think, obviously, right, these first couple days, learn as much as I can. I think for me is really, I want to let coaches, and staff kind of run their areas, right? Run their programs. By all means, don't want to be the micromanager. For me, open door policy. I really just, hey, I'm here to help. What I tell people in these meetings that I've had so far is, hey, I can't guarantee you the outcome, every time, that we, meet and stuff. But what I can guarantee is, hey, I'm a sounding board. I'll listen to you, that sort of thing. So, really, I just, hey, I want to be open. I'm a former student athlete. I think that, accounts for some things and it can offer some perspective. I was joking with, Neil and Corbin, for soccer. Hey, I'm not the coach. I can talk and hey, I understand soccer a little bit better and maybe more, in depth. But, hey, I'm here to, help the department and lead the department and, get them what kind of they need to be successful. So.
I'm curious to know what's been your hockey exposure up to this point, because
Yeah.
obviously hockey is a big sport at St.
Yeah,
Mary's.
and again, kind of going back to, growing up, obviously, John McDonough has done a fantastic job with our Blackhawks. Obviously, tons of people joining on that bandwagon, and hey, that's totally fine. I know they appreciate that, but to see what that organization has done for the last decade has been incredible. But I think for me, I'm excited. Have some familiarity with hockey. Did I play a lot? Growing up, not so much. Me, it was maybe more street hockey in the cul-de-sac or something like that. But yeah, again, Minnesota. We have some family right outside Minneapolis. A close cousin of mine, and I know how important hockey is to this state. So I know again what that means for St. Mary's as well. So I get that. Excited. I know we just started practice yesterday for both men and women, and looking forward to getting to those first games, putting on my hockey sweater and bouncing around and being in the arena. So I'm excited. Again, I know the dynamics. I've worked for schools that have had football, non-football, and things like that. So I think anywhere you go, there's going to be obviously those sports that I think maybe, I don't know, have a more just history or alumni following or draw or whatever it is. So I definitely think I get it, but I'll keep getting an education from our coaches.
Right,
yeah.
and that kind of brings up my next question. There are, at every college, there's higher profile sports than others, but I think at St. Mary's and really a lot of Division III schools within the MIAC, a lot of the sports really get equal billing. So I think that's probably one of the attractive things about the position, right?
Sure. I mean, again, I think, end of the day, right, Division III model, more about that, student, more so than anywhere, and the balance, and really just, hey, for the love of the game, right? So I think that's vastly important, and for me, with all of our sports, right, I see we've had some great academic, successes and community success, and we've had some, obviously athletic success too, but now it's, hey, how do we get to that point where we're putting our teams in a position to be at the upper third, the upper half of the league across the board. And, what I've always found is, again, we're in a hotbed for a lot of our sports and recruiting and just the MIAC in general, again, from what I've told and gathered and seen in a short time, just very competitive. But I think, hey, if you can get consistently to that conference tournament, have a chance to get into the NCAA tournament, once you're in, anything can happen. And I think that's kind of, the next stage and step for us as we kind of look ahead for the next couple of years.
And what's the biggest challenge to get us there for you? And again, I know it's only 8 days.
Sure.
What is the biggest challenge you see for us to achieve what you would like?
Yeah, obviously, there's some great history at St. Mary's. Obviously some other programs within our league, St. Thomas, others. I think for us, it's just really understanding the dynamics of campus. What we can do to put our coaches in a position to where if I'm going to evaluate our programs and coaches to a position where, hey, I need to evaluate obviously fairly, but put the resources in your hands to where those expectations are realistic. You know what I mean? So I think that's just something, again, working with University Advancement, Father Burns and other people on campus, what we can do from a resource standpoint to get us there. And I mean, there's, again, positives. I know talking with coaches, a lot of our programs have that full-time, assistant. A lot of programs don't have that. So, goods and bads, facilities, all that sort of stuff. So still kind of grasping all of that. But, end of the day, there's lots of positives. Are there places where we need to improve and look to get better? Sure. I think like anywhere. But, at the end of the day, I think, that there's a good group of staff, good culture. Hey, my job now is how do we kind of get to that next level?
So the toughest part of your taking the job at St. Mary's has to be saying, go Cardinals, because I know as a lifelong Cubs fan, that's got to be rather difficult.
Correct. Tough, obviously, not making really through the playoffs too much, this year. But I mean, what they've done is fantastic. Yeah, again, lifelong Cubs fan, but I'm more proud than ever to say go Cardinals here. So, again, different, unique, and again, my family's joked and stuff too, but I'm happy to support the Cardinal and wear the gear.
You probably had to go out and buy red.
Yeah, I mean Lewis was red, but
okay,
the red and blue, staff was great. I've gotten my apparel, so good thing I did the fire sale of some of the Lewis stuff, before I came here and things like that. But held on to a couple, when I go back, But yeah, it definitely, Cardinal difference. And it was great to see the mascot out over the weekend too.
Yeah,
so
good.
Got my first experience with Big Red, I think is what he or she is referred to. But yeah, no, it's different. But
one of the traditions we have on the show is when we usually have a student athlete on, I get to ask a question that they may not realize is coming. And so one of the things that I've learned about you in the short time that you've been here is you are an avid collector of bobbleheads.
I am, yes.
I mean, if you go into his office, there's probably 15 of them on his desk. Talk a little bit about that and how that all started. And
Sure.
We
Yeah.
got about a minute, Brian.
Yeah, no. I obviously fortunate enough when I worked at the Cubs was able to get some of those through work and stuff. But I just think, and my wife would appreciate this too, is that it's out of the house, so it fits more well in my office desk. But yeah, just little things that. Just kind of memories and different things. And I had a Sister Jean bobblehead. I was a Loyola alum. We had the great run for the Final Four. So people looked at it like, oh, that's so cool. I tell people that's the original Sister Jean bobblehead before she got really big. So
you got about 15 seconds. I'm sure you want to do a shout out to your family who is not here with us. So.
Yes. Again, thank you again for the opportunity today. But yeah, I'd love to say hi to my family, wife Caitlin, son Landon, daughter Elin. Hi to everyone else watching today. We'll definitely get this out, and I'm sure I'll hear some things later today about the interview. But yeah, again, I know with the transition, it is what it is for now. But we're hoping obviously to get my family up here as soon as possible, and campus community has been great and taking care of me and stuff like that. So.
All right, Brian Sisson, our new athletic director. We have to work on getting a Donnie Netto bobblehead. What do you think?
Yeah, Big Red bobblehead. I'm on it. Let's do it.
All right, Brian Sisson, new athletic director. Thanks for being on the program, and good luck as you start the new position here.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right, that's going to do it for the Cardinals Nest for this week. Tune in again for another Cardinals Nest right here on HBC.